Hey, this is Daniel Frome. I am the Senior Systems and Database Administrator and also the FleXReports Product Manager. Thank you for coming to see some of the new features we've added in the FleXReports 1.3. I'm going to start off with just a very brief overview of, what FleXReports is and what it's capable of doing. So FleXReports is one of our first forays into a subscription-based product. It is fleet capable, so you can connect it to multiple StackVision servers. It provides familiar Excel functionality. You're building templates and reports using standard Excel functions. StackVision and FleXReports is providing that data in a format that you can use to design some pretty cool reports. It's a very simple installation. There's no database, doesn't require Windows Server operating system, can run on a laptop, things like that. Very simplistic. And again, even if you don't have a ginormous fleet, you can still get functionality and use out of it by designing custom reports. We found that obviously it's a lot easier to develop a Flex report. You're more likely to know Excel functions and functionality than you are knowing SQL Server and SQL Server reporting services and RDL management and all that fun stuff. So with each release of Flex reports, there was a release of StackVision that sort of corresponded to things. So when we initially released FleXReports 1.0, the only thing it could get was the data value, which would be the same thing as going into Data Lab and looking at the data value column in Data Lab for all your parameters. That corresponded with StackVision 6.14. StackVision 6.15 sort of corresponded with FleXReports 1.1. We added additional Data Lab columns, so that's things like is missing, is invalid. For daily data, that's things like operating hours and the daily average, things like that. So that's all the additional columns you can see in Data Lab. We also added calibrations for, daily calibration data. And in 1.2, we added QA test deadlines, which for StackVision, that is a process you can run that then generates some of your QA test data, gives you deadlines on those. If you have a process now task, you can even alarm off of it and things like that. But FleXReports allows you to go get that data. So if you have multiple facilities, or even if you don't, and you just wanted something custom, allows you to pull that data through FleXReports. 1.3 was much more of a client-side features and enhancements. We added one big ask from our customers currently using it, as well as prospective customers, was, we'd like to have some PDF support in there. So we've added some PDF support. We also added, upgraded our tool set to be able to support some of the newer Excel functionality that's been coming out with, like Excel 2019, Office 365, things like the filter function or the XLOOKUP function. Prior to 1.3, you could use those functions, but they actually wouldn't calculate until you would enter the cell and exit the cell. We also added some additional robustness to the client. For example, if you're in the middle of a query and the network drops out, or there's some type of glitch in there between the client and one of your StackVision servers, there's an automatic retry feature for that. So with PDF support, one of the big things is we're just supplying the export format. The end user defines the print area, the layout, the orientation, all that fun stuff. We're not going to try to get all cutesy with FleXReports and try to get that to you. You sort of need to define that before you decide, hey, I'm going to do a PDF export. And basically what it does is it prints a single PDF of all the visible tabs. And I'm going to be entering and exiting my presentation to sort of show you what exactly these different features are showing you. So if we go over to I have my PDF chart, and I have these 3 different charts in my little template. Notice there's nothing filled in because I haven't, this is my template. I haven't run anything yet. I'm gonna go over to FleXReports. I'm gonna run my PDF. And I have it go into a webinar folder. Here's my PDF I've just created. So you can see I have a title page, I have one chart, I have another chart. So this is PDF export. Like I said before, you know, the orientation, the print area, things like that, you're all controlling within Excel itself, which I will say, I don't have the best luck with printers anyways. You can see it just sent me the same report as well. This allows you to basically, you can hide tabs, so you can't recalculate any data per se or anything like that, but you get it in a nice hard format that, you know, I just went in here this morning and sort of designed and mocked this up. So it's, you know, relatively easy to do and things like that. So that's PDF export. How did we do that? If we look in our template for my PDF chart, we see there's a new output file extension, PDF. That's all you have to do is go in there and select that. And of course, set all your print area orientation and all that fun stuff. For that, I've also included in the release notes, hey, you know, older templates may not have this PDF function. How do I get that in there? I've included that in the release notes to sort of, you know, prevent any support cases from coming in along those lines. Let's see. I have another template over here. Same, my awesome title page, and I have a little Excel function. This is a newer function with Excel. It's really awesome if you have Office 365. You don't have to do index match and all this crazy stuff. If you just want to filter out particular data, supports multiple filters. It's very, very simple to use. But you see here, I don't have any data. And I'm going to go run my filter report template. And right now I have a filter example. And you can see this is now populated. So before, in prior versions of FleXReports, you would actually have to click in this cell and enter it for that Excel function to calculate. So now with 1.3, some of the newer functions and formulas with Excel are able to sort of, you know, self-calculate. So this is just a sort of little, you know, thing I put in here. Hey, if I wanted to show data greater than 5, you know, May, then boom, I put that in, you know, I can get that. And like I said before, here's some of the email functionality. We can see, yes, I did get my report. I'm getting these log files because this is my test system. So I have debug logging turned on. So every single time I run a report, I get a log for it as well. One of the other things we added, I mentioned, we added retries. By default, that is, it's going to try 3 different times. And just FYI, it doesn't, when it encounters an error, it's going to try to pick up where it left off. So if it's in the middle of, and you know, it got down to your 20th tag for that particular server, it will retry based on that. Let's see, that is controlled in the bin directory. There's a flexreports.exe.config. All these options we sort of talk about in their user's guide. You know, how do I set those? What are the implications of setting these? So we see here in 1.3, we added a new key called session retries. That value is set to 3. One of the really, really big ones I was very happy to accomplish was prior to 1.3 scheduling, anytime you change the schedule, you would have to restart the scheduling service. On some of our customer servers that have FleXReports, they're very locked down. They don't have the ability to restart the service. So now scheduling no longer requires a service restart, and I can sort of show you an example here. I'm going to stop my service so I can clear out my log files. And FleXReports log service. So these are all my service logs. And I'm going to start this back up. So we can see here I've got two schedules. I was running some tests, one for generating PDFs, one for Excels. I've got two different schedules. This one says on the 6th minute, every 15 minutes after. This one says on the 1st minute and every 10 minutes after. So I was doing some various testing there. So we can, and this is, I'm actually editing these from a UNC path. But we can see here, if I go into my schedule, there's the schedule I mentioned. So let's say, hey, we're going to change this to 5 on the 5th minute and every 15 minutes after. We're going to hit save to our schedule. Before doing this, it would keep the old schedule until the service restarted. So that caused a lot of confusion. Now, anytime you add, edit, delete, you don't have to restart the service. It picks it up automatically, and we can see that in the log file if we open it back up. We can see right down here that, hey, it canceled this one job that used to be 1 out of 10, and now we've scheduled 5 on the 5th minute, and every 15 minutes after we'll get this other template running. So that was a very big hit for FleXReports, and makes things a whole lot easier. Now I can edit this schedule off the server. I don't have to be on the server to edit it, restart the service. So that provides a lot of additional functionality. One of the other things we added in the template itself, so here's a newer sample template. I'm gonna bring this over. So this is the sample template that's included. It already has PDF in there. One of the things we added, the more and more I'm doing FleXReports, people have all these crazy date time frames. They want to run things. So we added some additional things like adding current and semi-annual or current and semi-annual dates. Again, these are all custom anyways, but we're providing you with some, some of the most common date time ranges that we are seeing things run on. This one down here, particularly interesting, is that, when especially if you're working with, accumulated data, which is very, very popular with FleXReports, lots of times after the 1st of the month, you're doing especially when it's the month after a quarter ends, you're doing your reporting, and you need to QA your data before you actually submit it and call it final, right? So if you have a report that goes out the 1st of every month, that data may not be QA'd till 15, 20 odd days down the road. So you want to use data that's QA'd up into a point where you say, okay, it's good. So what this particular date picker here, if we were to go into configuration and pick this one, basically what it does is it allows you to rerun a particular date time frame. So if, for example, if this was October 1st, then I would be rerunning the last quarter, which would be through 9/30 up until the 15th day of October, and then I would switch to 10/1. So it sort of allows you a replay. That type of stuff isn't really part of FleXReports, but it shows you how flexible FleXReports can be, because you can do a lot of this stuff in Excel. Again, FleXReports is, tries to be pretty simplistic. Basically, you're passing in arguments and you expect a particular output in a particular order. So these are some of the things we've added in 1.3. The next steps, none of these are actually set in stone or anything like that, but we do want to let you know that we are sort of thinking and what are the next steps for Flex Reports. There's lots of different things we obviously could do. It's just a matter of time and labor to get those things done. Most likely, it's probably going to be UI centric, UI based things. I threw in a little mock up. We're using a new mock-up tool inside in-house to develop some of the newer UIs for StackVision, all our products actually. But maybe having a UI for Flex Reports, that would solve a lot of customer related issues where I don't want to necessarily have to log into the Flex Reports to be able to execute a report manually. And even along those lines, without needing to run a command prompt or have a batch file set up to run a particular report. We're still, deciding, maybe this is a standalone login, or maybe it's built into StackVision to allow, more authentication if, Flex Reports is behind the StackVision login. Other things we've talked about, a process now query that's becoming more and more popular, not only to make sure that your process now completes successfully for your entire fleet and stuff, but it also helps to gauge things like, is the data I'm getting, has it completed process now? Is it Q-date? There's lots of times where somebody, there's a missing hour and process now fails and your values aren't accumulating because accumulation is the last step in your process now. So you may want to have a query that just gets process now data that you're checking to say, hey, yeah, well, process now completed, so I know my data is up to date in terms of accumulation, or if there's a missing hour or something like that, or if process now didn't run at all, your bath might be set to 1 or not even be there, so your NOx tons values may be off. A cursory check of just a very simple process now query across a fleet could do a lot of good, not only for fleet related folks, but making sure that the data that you're getting in your Flex report has passed process now and therefore has some level of QA check involved. Another interesting query that's come up, especially along the lines of using Flex Reports as a pipe, is a unpivoted query, more of a row-based query or a linear view in Data Lab, or what you would see directly in the database. That would help provide some of the EMISs that like things unpivoted rather than pivoted, to help transition, getting data out of Flex Reports to another product. As far as upgrading to 1.3, you can email me or give me a call. Takes about 5 minutes to upgrade. I've actually already done some of our customers already. They reached out to me when they saw the webinar. So I was upgrading them yesterday. Takes about 5 minutes to upgrade. And like I mentioned before, in the release notes for Flex Reports, we've included, if you wanted to add PDF option to an available template, or a prior template to 1.3, here are the steps you can go about doing that. And that is primarily it for Flex Reports 1.3 webinar on some of the newer features and where we are looking to head down the road. And as always, if you're an existing customer and you really want to see something, in the next release, please let me know, or support, or anybody. Just reach out so we can, get that information down. And if you're a prospective customer, and if there's one thing that's, obviously preventing you from buying it, please let us know. We're always interested in hearing your all's ideas, because, even though we developed this product and, we use it internally, you guys may have different uses and needs than us. So we're always interested on getting customer feedback and input on future releases.